Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about relationship betrayal trauma and using this video's topic because it shows exactly how betrayal trauma works in someone. And in this video, actually, the betrayal was there from both spouses, though the video addressed the betrayals from what the man did in the relationship. I feel the video didn't address the betrayal trauma that the woman was doing in the relationship, and because of which I'm making this video. And hopefully, people who are going through such similar situations can figure out the right solution for their marriages or their long term relationships when such betrayal trauma occurs in a relationship. So this guy mentions that he was very rude and inconsiderate towards his wife and has been very disparaging towards her because he's the personality type who is very sure of himself and possibly considers himself like a better human or a better person than his spouse. So, because he has this pattern of possibly showing some arrogance in his life, he has rightfully acknowledged that he could have been responsible because of his behavior towards his wife in leading her to talk to someone else emotionally outside of their marriage. And he mentions that his wife is talking to someone else. She has been, first of all, he discovered that she was texting someone else. She lied to him and said that she isn't texting anymore. Then she has lied and said that she has stopped all contact with him, but she was still continuing the contact. And she was also talking for hours on the phone with this guy. All of which has unraveled for this guy over a period of a few weeks. So it's not that at the beginning of when he tried to work on his marriage with his partner, she revealed to him the entirety of what was going on with her, which is where I feel the betrayal trauma needs to be addressed, because that is also a great betrayal trauma if you don't reveal to your partner what was going on with you when the partner is being sincere and you are being insincere in the relationship, or you are not as emotionally invested in a relationship, because it creates a pattern of unequally yoked marriage, which is the absolute opposite of what marriages should be for anyone. While God does want people to have marriages which God or different religions, different cultures, everywhere for the benefit of humanity, a marriage which is long lasting is definitely something that God wants for every human being who wants to be married. Those who want to be married, those who want these long term relationships with their partners, there is a central criteria that needs to be fulfilled in such relationships, which if not fulfilled are relationship red flags, are betrayals of the basic code of ethics of that institution that you are following. If you're following that you want to be in a long term committed relationship, commitment means to commit to even expressing the uncomfortable time zones and time periods of your relationship. If you are not in a long term committed relationship, if you are in a long term marriage, again, marriage itself means you have to be honest and authentic with each other, even if that honesty leads to some discomfort, fracturing, or breaking down of your relationship. Because nowhere in any religion, culture, or marriage related, say, legal choices also does it expect anyone to stay in a marriage with someone who doesn't love them, because the basic criteria doesn't love them, or someone who is not even loyal to them. And this is where I'm pissed off at that video of that woman who is inauthentic with her partner, who is getting away with just lying to him to his face about the extent of cheating she has done with her partner. Because it is understandable that if you are a woman or a man, and I have been on the receiving end of a relationship where the guy was constantly disparaging me. he was disrespecting me, disparaging me, exactly like this guy. And I can tell you, his wife also would be either less good looking than him potentially, or if she's not less good looking as him, intellectually he considers himself above her, or if not intellectually, he's considering himself above her, or in looks wise, if he's not considering himself above her, there might be some nature related, personality related things in which he is considering he is superior to her, which can happen in any relationship, which by itself makes a relationship again imbalanced and unequally yoked. If you start considering your partnership with a partner, be it a marriage, be it any other long-term life commitment relationship, if at any point of time any one or the other partner starts considering themselves to be better than the other one, it is already a fracturing relationship at the basic code ethics of that relationship. But most people fail to recognize that as a relationship red flag. He didn't recognize it, she didn't recognize it. And because they didn't recognize it, or even if they had both recognized it, they were not authentic enough with each other to acknowledge that this unequal thought processes and way of behavioral patterns was going on with them. And because they didn't acknowledge it, this marriage has lasted 14 years. But does it mean it was a lifelong happy 14 years of marriage? No. In that marriage, in the meantime, whatever insecurities the wife might have been feeling, whatever hurt she was feeling for being disrespected by her partner verbally or otherwise, whatever was going on, she slowly started building resentment about it. And because she has built up enough resentment in her about this toxicity, instead of acknowledging it authentically that, hey, you shouldn't talk to me like this, or hey, I deserve better than this, which she had 14 years to acknowledge that and tell him that, right? But she has also not told him that. So that's why for this guy it's a betrayal trauma, that for 14 years, why has his wife never addressed to him that what he was doing to her was something that was troubling her? It is possible that he was being clueless and insensitive and unempathetic towards her emotional needs, but he's not a mind reader, or he's not intuitively picking up when he's going wrong. So she needs to guide him, right? A equally yoked marriage is also that. A equally yoked marriage is when one partner is being unfair towards the other partner has to call it out that, hey, you are being unfair to me, look at me, acknowledge that you are unfair to me, so that we can work on and becoming better with each other, which again she didn't do. So the mistake is not simply from his end, it is also from her end, if she never ever acknowledged to him that how you're treating me is causing me to distance myself from you. Otherwise he wouldn't be on this call if he had any clue that what he was doing was causing his marriage to slowly break down. And while that slow breakdown was happening for 14 years, what happened in the last few weeks of before this call? In the last few weeks before this call, his wife said to him that she is falling out of love. When in fact, some people who are very hardcore inauthentic people, or very hardcore liars or manipulators, or also very much incapable of acknowledging when they are doing something wrong, they will use terminologies like this, like they are falling out of love, when they have already been out of love for possibly many months. Because what did this guy discover after his wife said, I am falling out of love? If she was an authentic sort and who was really just at the beginning stages of falling out of love, whatever he did with her, like give her roses, writing a text message and apologizing to her, trying to rekindle the romance, and in his mind he thought for 2 weeks he was really doing good in the relationship. All of this that he is going through internally in his mind and in his awareness, conscious awareness, based on the cues she is providing him in the relationship, maybe not the words but the cues she is providing, which could be all false manipulative cues as well, because some people in relationships know how to fake it as well. Because otherwise he wouldn't have thought that he's doing good, he wouldn't have thought that he's doing the right things to rekindle the romance if she hadn't given him some non-verbal cues possibly about it. because manipulators and gaslighters will also give non-verbal cues instead of providing verbal cues. Now, why am I telling all these? Or people might think I'm judging this woman, but I'm not judging her. I have been in relationships at both sides where I was feeling in one of my relationships that when the man was being disrespectful, when the man was not loving, when the man was not caring, in two of my past relationships, when these phases happened, I broke off with them. I didn't want to be in relationship. First, I tried to make things work with them by bringing up to them what was going wrong in the way they were behaving with me. When after bringing up the behavioral pattern that was troublesome for me, when they didn't change, they didn't bring any apologies, they didn't bring any rectification, they didn't bring any thing from their end to rectify the whole thing, what happened was that there was just a fight between two people. And after the fight, even though I broke off temporarily from them, because I never lived together with those boyfriends, so I had my own separate place, and since I broke off with them temporarily, and in those phases I would miss them, I would be deeply in love with them, so I would go back again to those relationships and I would apologize for having a fight with them or conflict with them. But where those relationships became unbalanced was while I was apologizing for my side of the thing that was causing the relationship conflict to occur, they weren't first ready to acknowledge what they were doing wrong in the relationship. Like if they were disparaging, they were not ready to recognize that. If they were being disrespectful, they were not ready to recognize that. If they were not providing the kind of time a relationship, quality relationship requires, they were not ready to provide that. So because of these, what happened, even though I was apologizing, I was trying to do the mending, I was trying to break whatever the breakdown had happened, I was trying to repair the breakdown. If the other side is not doing the same thing, what continues to happen? The relationship keeps getting worse and worse. So I understand if the woman had indeed expressed herself and told what was going wrong in the relationship, they could have had this same discussion not 14 years into the marriage, but 2-3 years or 4 years into the marriage, because these kind of common things are common to all marriages, because none of us are really perfect humans. So there is always a possibility that at some point of time or other we consider ourselves superior to our spouses. That can happen. And while that superiority isn't a problem, because that is what is equally yoked marriage. In an equally yoked marriage, what happens is one partner will be superior and better at doing something while the other partner will be worse at it. So if you acknowledge that me being good at doing something is a good thing for our relationship, then you don't insult your partner. Likewise, the other partner will also be equally good at something else. And then again, them acknowledging that they are better at doing this particular thing than their partner, and realizing that it is for the overall relationship's growth that one of them has to be better at something than the other, then both of them being equal at something, because a good relationship will have both partners equally good at certain things, which brings their relationship compatibility with each other. And then there will be flaws of each other that will be complementary in their partner, which the flaws the complementary partner can make up for in the times when the flaws need to be addressed, or a situation happens in their life where the other partner who is better at navigating that situation can take over. That's why you are given partners who will be partly complementary and partly compatible to each other. So that's why there's nothing wrong if you are superior to your partner about certain things. But this wrong thing that starts happening in relationships or unfolding is when you consider you're better and you start insulting your partner about what you are better at, and forget that your partner is also better at something that you are worse at. And then after forgetting that, if you don't appreciate each other, then relationships start breaking down. And it doesn't matter if you're married for 20, 30, 40 years also and you have had these fractures in your relationship, because a quality of a marriage is not in the quantity time you spend with your partner, but the quality of the marriage is in the quality of the relationship that was built between each other. and obviously there was no quality relationship built. Otherwise this guy wouldn't have been thinking that he's building a relationship while in the background his wife is sitting and texting someone else and lying into his face. Because the way he narrated the whole story, you can quite easily see that she is lying to his face and telling him that she's just simply chatting with someone temporarily online, or that she is simply uh, uh, it was a temporary thing and now she has stopped doing it. But though she said all these things, what did he discover in the 5 weeks? In the 5 weeks of time when he was trying to patch up with her, trying to make things work with her, he discovered also. How did he discover that? That was his intuition. First of all, his intuition told him to go and check the phone logs. Otherwise, one person who is not cheating will not think of all these things. If you are not a cheater, if you are a loyal spouse, if you are committed to your relationship, these things don't come to you automatically. These things only come to your consciousness when actually cheating is happening or something suspicious is going on in your relationship that your partner is not acknowledging. That's why he was led to check out the phone logs, and he is feeling in this call guilty that he is actually double checking his wife, even though she said that she is not talking with this guy anymore or in communication with this guy anymore. She already told him twice. First she said she stopped messaging him, then he found out that she was talking on Snapchat. Then from Snapchat also she said she is not messaging him on Snapchat as well. Then he discovered via intuition, when he checked the phone logs, that she has been talking for hours with this guy. So which means that she's having actually at least at the very minimum an emotional affair with the other guy. She could potentially have more than an emotional affair. We don't know about that. But because she's potentially having this emotional affair and she hasn't acknowledged it to her husband, she has already quit and cross the lines of being in a balanced, equally yoked relationship with her partner. Because while it is true that if a partner is disparaging, is disrespectful, it causes the one who is being disrespected to feel really sad and broken down and feel emotional or verbal abuse from those relationship patterns. If that partner who was getting verbally abused, she really wanted that verbal abuse or emotional abuse to be addressed as a problem zone, they could have easily gone to a therapist and tried to address it. They could have easily tried to communicate to each other to address that, hey, can you be more nicer to me, right? But if they haven't gone to a therapist, if they haven't tried any of the things where the girl also didn't tell the guy what she needs from him to feel loved by him, because the therapist in this phone call is suggesting that you ask your wife, what can I do to make you feel loved? But there has been 14 years. How does this guy not know in 14 years what he should do to make his wife feel more loved? Which seems ridiculous, and which can only happen if the wife has never shown to the husband what I need from you to feel more loved. That is one thing. If you don't know by 14 years of marriage what your wife needs to feel more loved, and if you have to ask her verbally after 14 years, because this is not a 1-2 year relationship or even 5-6 years relationship. In 5-6 years you may not understand someone, but after 5-6 years you definitely have the capacity to understand someone deeply. And while this doctor is thinking that this guy who is on this phone call is not emotionally tuned to his partner, or he is one of those macho type midwestern guy who drives a pickup truck, because he asked him that question, are you the pickup truck kind of a guy? And the answer the guy also gave makes me think that this guy is exactly entirely opposite of what Dr. Deloney considers him to be. This guy actually is the intellectual type, and he's also the emotionally attuned type. Because if he wasn't emotionally attuned to his partner, he would not have also intuitively picked up on certain things related to her cheating enough to go and figure out that she's been talking to him on the phone, something she didn't acknowledge to him, verbally speak up to him. So she is the silent type. She actually drives a larger pickup truck, as he mentioned in the call, meaning she is the one who is in that typical masculine energy of not expressing emotions, not saying things, and also gaslighting and cheating on her spouse, because she has already gaslighted to him 3 times. And every time when she is caught in the lie, gaslighting is essentially that when a partner is saying something and doing something else. First time she said it was just a online friendship. That was the first gaslighting. Second gaslighting she did, that after discovering that even though she said she stopped talking to him, she was still continuing messaging him. That gaslighting was what? That second gaslighting was her telling that it is her trying to make it seem as if it's just a occasional friendship like chat. That is also gaslighting. Third gaslighting she has done, she didn't even reveal to him that she's been speaking to this guy for hours and hours on the phone. And yes, while he's asking her how her day was, how she is doing, whatever that she needs from a relationship emotionally, she's getting from him. She could have asked her husband also to do that same thing for her. Why didn't she do that? Why did she have to get some other man to show to her that she needs that in her relationship? Which means she's not authentically in love with this man. Because any man or woman that I have observed in my own relationships where cheatings were involved, where men were cheating on me, not just me being the primary woman in their life. Sometimes there have been men who were engaged to someone else and were two-timing the other woman, and I didn't know that. I only found out after they got married. Before that, when they were unmarried, they thought they could get away with flirting with me simply because they were not married yet. But imagine the betrayal trauma that wife will feel after the marriage has already occurred, knowing that while for 1-2 years she was deeply in love with her husband, here her husband was going and flirting with someone else. And though they were engaged and everything, he didn't tell her that he was flirting with someone else. Neither did he tell the other woman that he was already engaged. So he didn't lie. Verbally, he didn't say anything to either of us that showed, but emotionally, he was lying. Manipulation is essentially that. Emotional abuse and gaslighting is also essentially that. Covert abuse is also essentially this, where via words you may not express what is wrong in the relationship, but your actions and choices and the way in which you break the basic code of ethics of a relationship determines the concept of gaslighting and covert abuse. Because here you can't directly tell that this person hit me with a punch. But while where verbal abuse, or when someone is verbally lashing out at you, you can verbally prove that this verbal abuse is happening to me. When someone is physically hitting you, you have a physical mark on your body that this person hit me, or the physical pain will be there even if a mark is not there when someone has hit you physically in physical abuse. When sexual abuse is there, again sexually your body will be showing some trauma. But emotional abuse is the hardest to prove, because emotionally, in whoever is listening also to the story of a person going through emotional abuse, not many people pick up the emotional abuse. This guy himself hasn't picked up, and the doctor who was on this call didn't pick up this or didn't talk about it, even if he might have picked it up. The fact that this woman is emotionally abusing her husband by doing what she has done already in these 3 instances of gaslighting that she has done, and it is very likely that she has more than these 3 instances of gaslighting. And the 4th lying that she did, that she's falling out of love, is also a lie. She's already possibly out of love with her husband. She has also possibly never really loved him, because every time anyone who wants to stray in a relationship, it's easy to get strayed and get attracted to anyone outside our spouse in a marriage. It is not that difficult, because our modern world is such that we interact so much with the opposite gender. It is very easy to feel attracted towards someone, feel magnetized towards someone. But what keeps one person A, B, C, if person A is getting magnetized to someone other than their spouse, person B is getting emotionally attached to someone else than their partner, and person C is realizing that my relationship is bad, but I am not and I am getting attracted to other people. what is the right path? Person A who goes and cheats on their spouse after getting magnetized to another person, did they do the right thing? No. When they go and sexually sleep with someone, they have directly cheated on the partner sexually. So that one is the overt abuse, easily recognizable abuse. They cheated on you by sleeping with someone else. That person already has broken the code of ethics, and in a very clear, crystal clear manner. So a person doesn't get mind fucked. A person at least understands that this person has sexually slept with someone else, so obviously they have some conflict with being with me. You can easily understand that because they've already chosen or prioritizing someone else in the relationship. But the mind fuck from covert abuse or emotional abuse happens, or psychological abuse happens, because when a partner lies and says that they could have been talking to someone for years and years or months and months, and they've already taken the step to step out of their marriage. In some ways, they have not completely broken down their marriage, but they have already started breaking the threads of the marriage, but they are lying to the partner. And this is where covert abuse and the mindfuck happens, that you're not even ready to acknowledge authentically that, I am starting to stray. And they could have done that in the beginning stages only, when they were falling for another human being. When they are falling for another human being, they could have come to their partner and said, hey, I am getting strayed, can you help me with this? Because this is where, if there are two people in a relationship, the one who is straying has the responsibility to come back to the relationship, not the one who doesn't know that their partner is straying. And this is why it is covert abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, if the one who is straying doesn't keep their partner on the same page. And it is a betrayal, lying, cheating, manipulating, gaslighting, everything wrong with a relationship that shouldn't exist is existing in this relationship, not just because this guy was verbally disrespectful to his wife. Because I have been with verbally disrespectful men. If I don't want to be with verbally disrespectful men, what is my choice as a woman? I should have enough self-respect to walk out of a relationship when the man is verbally disrespectful to me. It doesn't matter if I have kids with them. It doesn't matter if I have been in a 10-year marriage with them. If verbal abuse is there, if verbal abuse is not addressed, if verbal abuse after being addressed is not workable between two partners, that is the saner choice, wiser choice, better path, more honest and more authentic path, to realize that I am not being able to be respectful towards you, you are not able to be respectful towards me. So let's break it down if we are not able to work with it. Right? So this guy is blaming himself that I have been disrespectful, and because I have been disrespectful, I need to work on things. Yes, of course he needs to work on things. He needs to know how to be respectful towards his wife. He needs to appreciate his wife for whatever good she brings into the relationship. Everything. Quite true. But what if the partner is already gone? For 1 year, 2 years, they have been flirting with someone else. For 1 year, 2 years, they have been having an emotional affair. If it is 1 year, 1 month, 10 years, 2 days, doesn't matter. If the partner has done already that breakdown of the relationship, that other partner also has to come in and do their due diligence in fixing what they have broken. The one who is angry doesn't, just because you've been angry or just because you were verbally saying something, where again, this is another thing most people don't pick up about relationships, but from my end I understood this with some of my troubled relationships, is this thing that when we are disparaging our partners, when we are unhappy with our partners, when we are saying something that seems disrespectful to an outsider perspective, but it may not really be disrespectful. All these things happen in relationships when relationships do not have authentic connection between them. In each of my relationships that broke down, I eventually understood that the guy just didn't love me enough, or authentically enough, or truly enough to really meaningfully work through the problem zones, to really meaningfully acknowledge that what was my positive point was his negative point. And the reason why they were disparaging, people can disparage their partners for two reasons: either when they are truly good at something, or when they are good at something, they see the partner being good at something else, and they want to disparage the partner for the thing that the partner is good at, in order to make their ego feel superior. But in true loving relationships, ego doesn't come into play. What comes into play is care and consideration and love for each other, where while he was also not caring and considerate towards his wife's feelings for the words he was using, she is also doing the same thing, and she's in fact doing the worst thing, because not only after having experienced the bitter end of someone verbally not being nice to you, is she being verbally nice to him when she lies to him and says that she's just having a casual friendship with someone? No. Is she, when she's actually talking for hours, if you're talking 5 minutes with your spouse and you're talking 1 hour with some other guy, you are not being you are also being verbally abusive, but it's a covert verbal abuse, you can say, because verbally you're not connecting with your partner. Emotionally you're not, it's emotional abuse, because emotionally you're not connecting with your partner. That same 1 hour of the day when you could have sat down with your partner and had that 1 hour chat with your partner, what have you given that time away to? You've given that time away to some other person. Why couldn't you have ask your partner that let's sit down and have this chat? How difficult is it? Shouldn't your relationship be more important to you? A relationship where you've been married for so many years be more important than someone who makes you feel all gooey inside? And if you do want that gooey inside feeling with someone else, why aren't you being honest with your husband to break up the relationship with him? Where is that honesty? Why can't you break up? For 14 years you have assets and everything. Is money everything in life? So that is why, if it is for money reason, she's not breaking up. If it is for social security reason, she's not breaking up. If it is because if she breaks up, she will be financially in more distressing conditions, that's why she's not breaking up. Whatever her reason, basic thing is, marriage is not simply about money, sharing finances and everything. Love is also not simply about you being there with someone for 14 years. Love needs more than that, and that is not present from her end too. So any man or woman, here the genders could be flipped. In my case, I had the opposite gender experience where the men were doing this to me. But in one of my instances, I also was married briefly for very few months to someone who made me feel so devalued, so disrespected, so unimportant in their life despite being married to them, that I understand the perspective of a woman who feels that devaluation to want and crave another relationship. And I craved that. I was like, if this marriage continues for months and months or years and years, I can now understand why people cheat on their partners. I really had that thought, literal thought in my mind. But what happened with me in that miserable marriage, because I was in such misery and because there was really a very toxic relationship, which I realized much later, what was happening was, the way the things unfolded in the relationship caused the relationship to break down immediately after a few months. And as soon as the relationship broke down, I felt such instant relief. I was so glad that I'm glad that this marriage didn't work out. I'm glad that I didn't have to test my consciousness, that if I had continued for 2, 3, 5, 10 years in this marriage, simply because I come from a cultural background where divorce is considered a taboo, being unmarried for a woman my age was a taboo. All these things, despite all those considerations, which was the fear behind, which causes the fear of many women to stay in marriages, many men also to stay together in marriages where they don't love their partners. That happens to many men and women, where the partners don't really love their partners, but because of social shame of divorce or because of financial reasons or other reasons, people don't want to break up. But life is not about convenience, life is not about finances, love is not about convenience and finance. If you want love, if you want true love, if you want deep love, if you want a meaningful life with a partner, you have to do a lot of things inconvenient for you. One of which is, if you are the cheater, you have to admit you are the cheater. If you after cheating, if your husband doesn't want to take you back, you have to also admit that you took the steps to step out of the marriage by emotionally cheating, if you weren't physically cheating and only doing emotional cheating. If it is the other way around, like for me, I was like getting so crazy, like what do I do? And I saw he was starting to emotionally cheat on me as well, because he was also miserable. Both of us are miserable, but instead of acknowledging the problem, which I tried to acknowledge, but in some people have this strong personality where they don't want to acknowledge their flaws. So this person didn't want to acknowledge the flaws. This person had already started emotionally cheating, and then he also started gaslighting also about certain things. And there were other crazy things also that happened, which I realized later on. But in the meantime, they wanted to gaslight me and manipulate me into wanting to stick into this marriage by trying some reverse psychology on me. The reverse psychology just didn't work for me, because I didn't have the same society. I don't give myself the same societal pressure as certain cultures do, even though I come from a culture where societal pressure and shame from divorce is high. And I considered that for a few months in that marriage, when I was going through this distressing phase where I was like having this conscious choice that if I continue on this marriage, what will I do if there's no love in this marriage and I end up finding someone else who will love me more than this person, or I get attracted to someone else, what will I do? I am now starting to see the mindset of people who cheat on their spouses. So if I'm starting to see this mindset, that already means that this marriage is not working. So I tried to make him understand that we need to go to counseling to figure this out or fix this. But he was not ready. He was not ready to communicate in between us face to face with each other. Neither was he ready to go to therapy, because for him, acknowledging that he is doing something wrong was a major fuck up. He didn't want to consider that he could be wrong in any way. So eventually the marriage just broke down. They decided to divorce, and he used to live with his family. And whatever happened, I was so glad that they sent me the divorce papers. Even though it was also devastating at the same time, I was glad as well as devastated. Both happened, but the gladness happened because I didn't have to now go through this mindfuck of being in a relationship with the spouse doesn't love me, where I can see the spouse is emotionally cheating on me, where I can see that the spouse is just simply not interested in being married to me, but because the marriage has already happened, they want to just continue, and whatever else rubbish that family had related to women's abuse, because they have a whole family pattern history of women's abuse in that family. So despite all of this going on in the background, when the marriage broke down, I was glad, because sometimes if your true life purpose is to be in a quality relationship where you understand your partner as deeply as they understand you, these cheatings will happen. They are just tests sent by the universe to make you realize what is the worth and value of your relationship. The test was sent to that spouse, not me. Even though I was also thinking about it, that first test came to him, and he was ready to cheat and step outside and have the emotional affair with someone else, and I intuitively picked it up. I didn't sit and track his phone call like this guy did. But this guy's intuition is telling him to go and check the phone records. He needs to check the phone records further down to see how long his wife has been talking. Then, having the actual facts in hand, he has to talk to his wife, because otherwise he can't go forward in a relationship where if his wife has been talking to someone else for 1-2 years, imagine the betrayal of 2 years that has been going on behind his back. Do you really want to be with a spouse who has betrayed you for 2 years continuously? That is a question you have to address, than simply that for 14 years I have only verbally disparaged my spouse. And why were you verbally disparaging your spouse? That also has sometimes some reasons behind it. Sometimes it is because you're feeling insecure, sometimes it is because you want to feel superior, but sometimes some people also disparage their spouses or partners when they intuitively know that that partner doesn't love them and the partner is cheating on them behind their back, because that also happened with me. I understand this third aspect. The first aspect, my spouses, the ones who didn't love me, the spouses or boyfriends who didn't love me, or even I have other family also who don't love me deeply. So even though when they don't love me deeply, they behave in a particular manner. When people don't love you deeply, they'll be uncaring towards you, inconsiderate towards you. They will not care when you're sick. They will not care when you're broken down. They will not care for your emotional health. They will not care for your psychological health. They will not care if what words they say to you are false words. They will not care to be authentic with you. These are all the list of things a person who is gaslighting you, doesn't truly care for you, doesn't truly love you does. Whereas when you truly authentically love someone, you will tell them outrightly and openly that if I am straying, help me with the straying. or they will, even before straying, they'll first fix the problem zone in the relationship by saying, hey, I need you to be present in the relationship in this way. If you can't be present in this way, then you have to obviously break down the relationship in a way that's workable. If it's not workable, then you have to understand this is an incompatible relationship that you are in. But these are the problem zones of modern marriages. People don't address what's going wrong. People don't want to acknowledge that they are wrong, or they can potentially be making some mistakes and false steps in their relationship. And after acknowledging it also, sometimes people do have a hard time working on it. But how can a person become a better person? Like, do you think every time any one of us is nicer and kinder to our spouse or parents or siblings or children or co-workers, doesn't it come automatically from within us? Do you have to ever force yourself to be nice to your friends, to be nice to your spouse, to be nice to your children, to be nice to your parents? No. If you are authentically and genuinely a nice person, you never have to force yourself to be nice towards them. And secondly, even after you being authentically and genuinely loving towards your parents, partners, siblings, whoever you love, are there days in 10 times you interact with a human being that one time you will have a difference of opinion where one person will think you are an idiot for whatever thoughts you are progressing and having in your relationship? Do you take that word or thinking that if I say to my brother that you are being idiot because say he is doing financially something that is very different from what I do financially, should he take that personally, or should he take that as just a ha 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 joke, or should he take that as an insult and a verbal abuse? What will define that? How I said that he's an idiot, why I said that he's an idiot, what is the intention behind my telling he's an idiot, and what is the way in which the other person is looking at life. Say I'm telling him he's an idiot because I'm looking at life at a spiritual perspective and not simply this financial perspective. He will not understand me, and that's fine. But if he considers what I'm saying, if I'm saying it out of a good intent as an insult, then who has the problem zone? The person who is actually just saying something neutrally, or the person who is considering a neutral thing as a negative thing? Because that also happens in relationships, where I might say, yeah, you are an idiot, but so what is wrong in being considered an idiot in some things? I'm an idiot in many things. And when I said this financial thing, my brother thinks I'm a financial idiot, while I think he's a financial idiot. Why? Because both of us have very diverse perspective in the way in which we navigate our finances, or how we think about finances. And in that same way, be it with a sibling, be it with a brother, and don't you joke with your friends and partners, friends and colleagues sometimes that, hey, don't be stupid or something like that. You say that. It's a normal thing. These words, stupid, idiot, they're not always insults. It is an insult when someone is deliberately using you to diminish your ego or increase their ego. At that time it is an insult. But other times you can't call a spade, then you're gone. Because say you're making a mistake, say I'm going down the road and there is a pothole in front of the road, and someone from the opposite side who knows that the pothole was there because they crossed the pothole, if they meet me on the streets and tell me there is a pothole, don't be an idiot, or be mindful and walk while you're walking, watch out for that pothole. If they say something like that, am I going to be an idiot if I don't listen to them, and if I walk and be unmindful after the warning, and then I end up going and falling down the drain? At that time, even if that other person who was warning me, say there were two people who came down the road, and one of them said, don't be an idiot, don't fall down that road, there is a pothole there, and the other one said, there is a pothole in this side of the road, be careful. These are the two words they used. Both of them were, what were their intent? They were both telling me, warning me, don't go to that road and be careful while you're walking on that road, right? So when I hear that instruction, should I take both their words as an insult? No. And after I fall down also, if another friend comes and picks me up and that friend says, hey, what an idiot that you fell down this road. Was I really an idiot after 2 warnings if I fell down, or even if no one was there to give me a warning and I still fell down a pothole? I was an idiot because I wasn't mindful, and that's why I fell down, right? So at that time, if someone tells you were an idiot because you fell down this pothole, because it was a large enough pothole for a big woman to fall down, then imagine if in any of these 3 situations where someone didn't insult at all, was simply warning me, where someone used the word idiot and was warning me, and when someone was helping me, or even if they didn't help me, afterwards when I narrated it, they said you are an idiot. None of them are actually insults, right? So can you use the word idiot without it being an insulting thing? So like that, context is very, very important in every relationship, and not just the context, how you hear what people are telling you. Because if you're fixated and negated to the word idiot, every time anyone says the word idiot, I'm going to consider it as an insult, then you are wrong. An idiot will only be an insult when you were not an idiot and someone is insulting you about it. Or an idiot will be an insult when someone is repeatedly telling you are an idiot, you are an idiot. When you're not an idiot, there are maybe one thing you are really bad at doing, but there are 10 other things you're really good at doing. At that time, if someone keeps telling you you are an idiot, that is an insult. So right, so verbal abuse is like that. So was he really being verbally abusive towards his wife, or was he also saying something in a very blunt manner, but in a way that was meant to be neutral and not an insult? That also is something he needs to examine about himself. Because I'll tell you, the partners who are usually the quieter ones, who are the ones who hide things, who are the ones who manipulate and gaslight about certain things, those kind of personality types that I have met in my life, both as partners and as friends, they have a very hard time distinguishing the truth, because they lie so much to other people that they have a hard time understanding authentic people. And if these two people are already unequally yoked, with one being very authentic and the other not being that authentic, and if only one person, when the relationship is in trouble, is ready to be authentic in the relationship, and the other partner is not ready to be completely authentic about their flaws and their mistakes, then a relationship cannot be equally yoked. So that's why they both need to realize, sit down, figure out what the real truth is. And if his wife is going to keep gaslighting him, he has to first figure out behind the back, only by doing these internet searches about the phone logs. Because when someone is gaslighting you, when someone is cheating on you, they are already broken the code of ethics of a marriage. So you even though it may seem insulting to go and back check on a spouse and not trust their words, they first broke the trust by not being trustworthy already. That's why he has every right to go and check her phone logs and do whatever else that is necessary to bring his mental peace back about whether she's actually gaslighting him, actually cheating on him, or whether it was really just a casual phone call, which it wasn't. I can tell you, she used the code words that cheaters and manipulators and gaslighters use. 3 things apart from the gaslighting that she did. The fact that when he was giving her too many flowers, like he brought her flowers and she said he's doing too much. That also, most women who are in loveless marriages or whose marriages are breaking down, and for 14 years their marriages have been breaking down, if they were really still in love with their spouse, even one small flower would have brought a smile to that woman's heart. Yes, it would, and in fact it wouldn't be too much. In fact, for a 14-year marriage, it would be too less to get a flower. Like, I am pissed off at any boy if in the first month of meeting me, first year of meeting me, first 2-3 years of marriage, if a spouse gives me flowers, red roses every year for anniversary, I would love it. But if I am married to someone for 10 years, red roses is actually too little. It is not too much, it is too little. Because roses, giving flowers and roses for your wife is either a practice you do, because I do have a friend who used to do this to his wife. He used to bring her flowers every time he would go grocery shopping. So say once a month or twice a month he is bringing her flowers. That was his ritual. If it is a ritual, that is fine. But if it is an anniversary thing where once a year you're giving someone a rose, every year as the relationship is evolving, you have to give your spouse more than just a rose. You can't continue just giving them a rose, because every year counts towards a new level of evolution with your spouse. So that's why you can't just keep giving them the same gift every year. You will get bored. You will also show that you are not deeply understanding your spouse, because women expect different things. Men expect stability, but women usually expect something different or more deeply fulfilling as the years progress in a relationship. And nowadays genders are flipped, so it can also happen that men also expect more in the relationship as the relationship is evolving, and women can be the ones who want just the same things to continue in a relationship. That can also happen in the people whose internal narrative and the masculinity and femininity is a little flipped. So that part, every person has to understand about themselves, about what type of personality type they are, or go to a therapist to understand their internal narrative about how they wish to navigate their relationship. But the way a woman or a man wants to be loved, if a woman wants to be loved by getting one rose every year, fine. But if a woman has been loved by getting one rose every year from her spouse, and then suddenly in 1 week he gives her a bunch of roses and she thinks he's doing too much, that's a red flag, because that means she's already cheating on him. Very few women would otherwise not say the kind of words she said to him. And there was another part that was a red flag was, I'm kind of blanking on this, but the second code word that she used that was also a very standard tactic that cheaters and liars and manipulators and gaslighters will usually use, one of which is, I'm seriously blanking on it what it was, but I'll put in the comments if I remember back what it was. But she has shown patterns of gaslighting, and she is likely been cheating on this guy for a while, and he needs to figure that out about his relationship before he does all the things that was been suggested in this video for him to do. Because while he'll be pouring in all this love to this girl, she's already pouring out that love from him to another person. Because while he is only wanting to commit to her, she is not in that same page as him. And it was very evident to me from this video. But if it is not evident to other people, that's why I made this video. And if you are a man or a woman who is going through this same kind of life experience with your partner, you really have to sit down and understand, are they really cheating? If they are not cheating, is it really that casual a friendship? If it is not really that casual a friendship, when will your spouse learn to understand boundaries and the appropriate relationship boundaries with other people? These are the things also they need to discuss then. And is your spouse actually really in love with you? Is your partner really wanting to have a committed relationship with you, or they are open to having open relationships? And if you both are in two different pages, should you be in a relationship with each other, right? You should only be in a relationship with each other when both of you pour the equal amount of love in your cup of love of the relationship. Otherwise, the marriage stays uneven, imbalanced, inconsiderate, and not something that should happen in people's lives. But there are many people who stay in such marriages for long time without wishing and asking and wanting more, and wanting that they actually deserve. Because if you are a loyal, committed partner who doesn't even pick up that your spouse is cheating on you, that means you are the loyal kind. So you deserve a loyal kind who doesn't cheat on you. You don't deserve a partner who can easily lie to your face and easily, just brush off an emotional affair as if they have nothing to do with everything related to the man was only involved in her emotional affair. But which is not true. So that's why I hope he gets the right therapist and the right person to help him acknowledge all this about this relationship. There was something else I also wanted to comment. I will write about that maybe in my comment section. Some other additional things that I found in this video that might be helpful to other people who are going through the same experience. And if you have any other questions and comments, please drop a comment to this video. Thank you.